Hello, welcome back to the channel of Rachel Heritage, which is myself. Books that will help you to be a better theatre maker. Some of them are plays, some of them are books on acting, some of them aren't. I'm gonna start off with the acting book. How does this relate to being a theatre maker? Because actors make theatre. The acting insight is the human insight. Therefore, it's bloody important. Please take my work seriously. All of these books I read of my own accord. They weren't something that I was told to read. There are courses, obviously, in the world, like BA drama courses that tell you to read these, and I recommend reading them before you start. First one is In-Depth Acting by Dee Cannon. Dee Cannon is an incredible acting teacher based in London. She's taught at RADA and various other places. This book's incredible. It's basically just like a very quick guide to how to go through finding a character and working through it. Instead of being really general, it's just like, here's the technique, here's how you can do it, here's how you can do it with other people, here's how you can do it with yourself. And it's quick and it's super accessible as a book. It's not full of loads of jargon, and it speaks to you as someone who may have little experience, no experience, or just like isn't sure how they should approach something. And it's a quick book and it's great, and it's one of the few acting books I actually go back to because I have all these things in here. The next one I have is Sanford Meisner's On Acting. It's a very famous book. Everyone knows Sanford Meisner. And it's like the Stanislavski books, where it's basically somebody recalling Sanford Meisner's classes. But I find that it's again quite accessible. A lot of what he said is very like specific. So although it's not as like bullet point listed, here's how you do something as Dee Cannon's book, it's something that you could really get into and actually enjoy the read of. Like, this is also genuinely just a really fun book to read. The next book I have to read is True and False by David Mamet. This one's a bit of a controversial one. I don't agree with everything David Mamet says, because he says some stuff that I just think is total bollocks. Good in that way, because once you've settled and have some opinions about how you like to do your work, and you as an actor, what you believe about acting and shit, as if anyone should have like beliefs about acting. It's good to read in that way, because sometimes you need to look at something from other people's perspectives and decide whether you disagree or agree when it comes to somebody's approach to art or approach to a craft that you do. I enjoyed some of this book, not all of it I enjoyed, because I was like, I disagree with this. You'll come out of it better in your head because you'll know where your head thinks. Unless you totally agree with him, then that's fine, go off, agree with someone. It's the book by a theatre maker, and it's his opinions on acting and theatre. As a result, I just think it's quite good. Like, some people call it an acting book, there's not like a lot of it that I came from thinking, oh, here's a tip, here's a tip, here's a tip. It's really just something to sort of grit your teeth into, and again, it's a quick read, so I do recommend it. I read it all on a bus. Now I've got some more technical books when it comes to acting. A Guide to Practical Speech Training by Gordon Light. I actually lied. This actually was a book that we were recommended to get on my course at Reed, because it's the book that Sham uses to run our voice and speech classes. It's a super old book. You can only buy like secondhand versions and stuff off Amazon, but it's such a good voice guide. Like tongue twisters, different exercises for your voice, and again, I've listed so many things here so that I can just quickly dash through something, because you get a lot of voice books that it's like, oh, here's all the information about how something works, and then here's an example, like a small example of exercises you can do. This is all about the exercises and how the exercises can help you. You can literally find it on Amazon for like £2. It smells like old books, which is quite a nice smell to some people, so look into it. Actions, the Actor's Thesaurus. Again, this will only work if you like actions and intentions. Actions and intentions is an acting technique. I don't know who the fuck came up with it. Like, really, at the end of the day, it's a mix of loads of people's techniques and stuff, so I couldn't tell you who actually came up with it. And basically, it's just a book of action words or transitive verbs. Transitive verbs is a type of verb where it's like, I'll give you an example. Oh, I better you, or oh, I outdo you. It's like I something you. So it's like, you are a snake. The action word is I wound you. And I'm thinking, I wound you. You are a snake, honey. It's a bit sassy, that was. That's me acting. I hope you liked it. That's my show reel now. Sometimes when you're actually trying to think about action words, you can only think of like 5 in your head. This is great for that. It will just give you so many words. Peter Hall's Shakespeare's Advice to the Players. Peter Hall, I believe he's not anymore, but he was like the head of the Royal Shakespeare Company. Very traditional Shakespearean guy. He really likes to specifically follow the given rules of Shakespeare. No one can say whether or not they're the given rules of Shakespeare because no one was actually there, so no one actually knows. But basically it's following the poetry of iambic pentameter, and it goes through with examples of how exactly you can do that, how you exactly follow the rhythm, how you exactly follow the punctuation, taking what Shakespeare has given you from the text and then working with it. Not everyone like follows this to a T. Obviously things get mixed up, you don't always have to follow the rules, etc, etc, but it's a good thing to know. I wouldn't say it's the most accessible book in the world, genuinely, because even though he's trying to really explain how all these literary techniques work to someone who doesn't understand, the way he words it sometimes is just very confusing. So it can take a while to really go through it, but I'd say it's something definitely worth to study and to give a go. This is a writer's book, but it's a bloody brilliant one. It's Stephen King's On Writing. He wrote this in 2001, I believe. Half of this book is Stephen King's like part of his life. It's an autobiography, and it's what he does, he reckons is like parts of his life that led him to become a writer, and the rest of it is just tips about writing. The tips about writing are generally more focused on novel writing, but I think it applies to writing anything. It's very honest in the fact that this is just my process, it doesn't have to work for you. Here's just some tips that I think can apply to everyone, and it's, for one, it's such a good read. Stephen King is an incredible writer. He will keep you hooked no matter what the fuck he's talking about, whether he's talking about getting an injection in his ear or whether he's talking about like grammar. And the tips in it are really good if you want to write, if you want to explore writing and telling your own stories and using your imagination. It's brilliant, and it's incredibly empowering as well. Like if you've come through a point where it's like, I don't know how to write, I don't know what I'm doing, like I want to write but I don't know. Just seriously. Got some plays. These are the two that I changed how I see storytelling, changed how I see narrative, ones that in terms of being a creator is something I can relate to. Duncan Macmillan's Every Brilliant Thing. This was originally a one-person play, and that's how it was performed, and that's how the script is written. It's a one-person play that really works with the audience and uses audience interaction, blah blah blah. Subject matter that's heavy because it talks about suicide. The way it explores it is, although obviously the suicide aspects are tragic, it explores it in a beautiful, very personal way, and it mixes it up. And I read this because we did it at Rose Bruford on my part-time acting course, and we turned this one-person play into an ensemble piece. Like when you read this, read it with like a vision of how you would put it on stage. Originally it's one guy showing you this whole world with an audience. In one line he's in a park, the next line he's at his wedding. Next one is The Writer by Ella Hickinson. This is a play from the perspective of a playwright basically. It's not like sort of in a wanky way. It is in the way that this writer is a genuine character. It's not like obviously like Ella Hickinson's perspective or something like that. A really fun read, and it's a really good voice of the writer. If you like writing, if you're in the theatre industry and you want to sort of divulge into that and just amuse yourself, this is a good read, especially if you're a female. Oh, it's just low. I feel like I'm rambling. It's got pictures as well, so I don't know, read it, it's good, you'll like it. I think as a female, growing up and reaching to be in the creative industries, like you get to a stage where, oh, you're always going to be an actor, you're always going to make things, you're always going to do stuff, then you turn 16 and all of a sudden like everyone doubts you, and they do anyway, but they doubt you even harsher because you're a woman. And there'll be like viewers right now who'd be like, you're chatting shit, what are you saying, because they don't understand, because I'm very much generalising the statement of they're doubting you because you're a woman. You need to get the context of being a woman to understand that. A lot of girls, a lot of ladies, a lot of women get into a state where they don't know if they can create. They feel like they need to take a back foot, and I think it is incredibly important as a woman. I mean, obviously I can only say that from the perspective of being a woman. I can't speak for anyone else, but other marginalised groups, it's incredibly important, I think, to find those voices, those artists who are just like you and have come before you and are there to empower you, because those words and that advice and just that existence is so important, and it can really change you. Like if I didn't read these books or these people, if I didn't listen to them and hear their stories, I don't think I'd strive for what I want to do as much as I have already and as much as I continue to do. So I've got some bloody books about feminism. The Guilty Feminist by Deborah Frances-White. Incredible woman, Australian lady who came to the UK to go to Oxford Uni when she was 18, got into improv and comedy, and then became a comedian. And now she's got this podcast called The Guilty Feminist that she's been running for years and years, which is an amazing podcast. Definitely listen to that if you don't want to read the book. He talks about feminism, but it's the idea of like existing as a feminist, but also knowing that like some of the stuff you partake in isn't like feminist. That's like what the Guilty Feminist sort of thing is. It's just sort of like a woman in modern society. Feminists Don't Wear Pink and Other Lives, which was created by Scarlett Curtis, and basically it's a collection of essays by just a shit ton of women from different industries. Emma Watson, we've got Karen Gillan, Jodie Whittaker, about their perspective on feminism and being a woman and successful women in their fields, their experiences and overcoming certain things. I think as a female theatre creator, it's really hard to deny being a woman means that you're going to struggle a bit more. You're definitely not going to struggle, like me personally, I'm not going to struggle as much as other women because of the privileges that I do have, but I am aware that I do enter into spaces that are not represented by people like me, and I am aware that sometimes my voice is not always going to be listened to as highly because of my gender, which isn't fair, which is bollocks. Half the time sometimes it's to actually say fuck you, no, you're a woman, I don't want to listen to you. Sometimes it's just like I don't even realise that I'm not listening to you because you're a woman. But the effects of that, I think, can really impact you as a person. When you go through those experiences, it can make you doubt yourself, it can make you not want to do what you're doing because you suddenly don't believe in yourself because other people aren't listening to you, and that's not the case sometimes. It makes you a lot harsher on yourself. It makes you work a shit ton harder. Therefore important to know that there are people out there who understand, there are people who have come before you, gone through the same shit, so that you can be empowered. So that was kind of an intense way to end the video. If you're interested in any of these books, I've said what they are, so look them up on Amazon. Or not Amazon, or eBay, or a secondhand bookshop, whatever you want to do. Try to respect people in shops. Make sure to go on your Facebook and Instagram right now and look up Lockdown Projections, which is my new theatre company based in Reading. We are making some fun things happen. A new tour of our debut play, The Truth Comes Out, comes soon. Make sure to watch some of our previous stuff, such as my Lockdown Stories short film series, as well as The Meeting by Sean McLaughlin and Locked On, just a bunch of other stuff on my channel right now. Make sure you check it out. If you don't want to do that but you just want to see my lovely face, go check me out, Rachel Quack XOX on Instagram and Rachel Heritage on Twitter. If you don't want to do any of that, that's fine. I don't mind. But it's funny how you got to this point in the video and you don't want to see more. Like, what? It's just a bit strange. Like and subscribe. See you on the flip side. Sorry, I haven't filmed a video like this in a while, so I feel weird.